All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Processes Made Simple call. We've got a special session lined up that I think you're really going to love. Today, we're joined again by none other than Sam Ettinger, owner of Ironclad Property Management. He's been here before. We love Sam. We love picking his brain. He's going to be sharing his insights on building company culture. It's a topic that impacts everyone in property management and really any business that has team members. So we're excited to hear his perspective and I'm sure he has some actionable tips for us. So I would recommend grabbing a notebook and get ready to learn. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ben to kick off the conversation. Take it away, Ben.
Let's do it. Chris, thank you for the introduction here. I'm really excited to continue this conversation. Company culture is such an underrated subject. And I think for a lot of people, we get into business operations and entrepreneurship with the goal of accomplishing something very specific. Usually it's financial freedom or ability to spend more time with your family and all these different goals that really are the background reason for why we're doing what we're doing. But the culture that we live and the values that we have often stay wrapped up inside of our own personality and perspective, and they don't always emerge or emerge fully or truly within our business. And so it really takes some disciplined action and focus to really run a company that reflects your culture. And so I'm really curious to hear Sam's perspective here. Again, just kind of a reminder for the folks who haven't met you before, Sam. Maybe you could give us just a quick overview of who you are, where you're located, a little, 30-second synopsis on the business, and then maybe let's dive in and just learn in a little bit about your company values and mission.
Sure. So my name's Sam Ettinger. I'm in central Connecticut, a small town called Middlefield. And so we run a property management company that has about 330 or so units and have been doing this for 6 years and really have been diving into traction, EOS for the last 2 or so years, and really have been strongly focusing on the company culture as part of that. And we've seen a lot of success internally as a team and team building, especially since my company has 7 remote people and 4 local staff. The local staff, I'm in the office. None of them are anywhere near me because they all work remotely as well. And so company culture is probably one of the most important things to do, especially as you go heavy remote, and especially as you go essentially no office. Yeah, I think that'll be my 30-second introduction, Ben.
Love it. Now, Sam, I know this, and I think people will pick this up rapidly as we have this conversation, but you are an engineer through and through. And I know that affects how you run your business, how things are structured. But I'm really curious to hear how have you systematically and used your engineer brain to develop your company culture?
Yeah, in reading, so I read Traction a few times. In reading it, what really resonated with me was the concept of you can't make your company culture platitudes. It can't be things that are aspirational, things that you want to be. And so what I really did when I looked at it is I said deep down, like, what am I? Like, who am I as a person and what am I? Because if you try to fake a company culture, like, it's going to come out and it's not going to work. So that's what I highlight and I strongly suggest is think about who you are as a person, as an individual. And the more that you can have your company culture be who you are, the better. So my company culture, we have an acronym of SWOT. First is serve first and serve well. I think anytime you're in a service business, if the foundation of your culture is not being service minded, I think you're going to fail. Right. So that's the first thing that was me. Serve first, serve well. Serve first, serve well to me means serve right away and serve to the best of your ability. right? So it's about speed, but it's also about quality. Um, the next one is about win together, lose together. For me, that's about teamwork and accountability, right? So you can see, what's Harry Truman's famous line, the buck stops here, right? Like people that say, oh, it's this person's fault or this person's fault. Like, no, we all can control our own destiny. And we all have a portion of the success and failure of anything that we do. So win together and lose together. The third is always improving, right? So as people, myself, I'm trying to grow the best property management company that I can. And a lot of that's done by doing a lot of work on myself and how do I need to improve myself. And those strategies that I'm doing actually help me become a better father, become a better husband. It doesn't just make me a better business owner, because being better myself is going to make me better everywhere. And then last but not least, it's technologically focused. As an engineer, like, you can't remove the fact that so much of what my brain does and what I do and what I live for is about process and utilizing systems and things like that. I also think as a company owner and as in property management, if you're not constantly looking for what's next, you're going to get left behind, right? So if you haven't updated and you still require people to fax you stuff, I mean, it's going to be difficult to really get the efficiency as compared to, starting to utilize email and attachments and eFax if you really want to do it. So there's a lot of things like that, but having a process mindset, it also helps me with respect to change management, because if I'm always talking about we're going to use best in class systems, then ultimately change management is just a natural portion of it. So those are my company culture: SWAT, serve first, serve well, win together, lose together, always improving and technologically focused.
Now, I love first of all, I really enjoy hearing other companies' values because I think it brings so much clarity to who the people are that you're working with. And I think it's something that we should do as a practice of developing our own business, but also it's really part of our hiring criteria, and a way for people to screen you, right? For your clients to find you because you have similar values and similar outlook. So I love that. Um, you said something that I really appreciated, and that is the act of embracing company culture is becoming more. And that idea of becoming more yourself versus just helping your company or your team to realize their goals, or earning more this year than we did last year, or whatever, whatever you want to fill in the blank here with. That idea of becoming and changing, I think, is a really valuable and often overlooked idea, and that growth as a person is going to result in other growth. It's just the way it works. If you become a growth-minded person, growth in your business is going to happen. Growth for the people who are around you is going to happen because you're a growth-minded person. So yeah, can't say enough positive things about that. Really love it. I'm really curious, um, when you are hiring, how does your company culture affect your hiring process?
Yeah, so obviously you don't want to, when you're hiring a person, you don't want to give them, hey, this is our company culture, right? Speak to this. And so we just listen for it. We listen for, give me examples, do some behavioral stuff. Um, I do use something like Top Grading from the book Who. And so a lot of times when I'm doing the hiring, so I have a multi-step process beforehand, which includes disc personality profiles and, some of those type of things. I look at resumes. I'm looking for, those type of things. But then I have a conversation with them, and I ask for their strengths and their weaknesses. I ask for, like, what do they want out of their lives? And I'm listening, and I'm looking for people that want more, right? Because if you're always improving, you're not happy with being content, right? So if I hear, I'm just looking for a 9 to 5 job where I can punch in and punch out, that doesn't actually go to our culture of win together, lose together. I want to hear the service focus, what I did in a call center or what I did here, like, and so I can see that they have those activities, and then, technology for that one, like, I don't need that as much from people because we're going to do it naturally and organically. And then win together, lose together. I try to understand how they basically listen, how they do teamwork, those type of things. So a lot of it is in the hiring process. I'm going to listen for those things, and then I'm ultimately going to going to talk with them about what it is we do. When I do hiring, Ben, a lot of times I want to scare people, right? Because we know that so much in property management, there's a lot of turnover in our industry. And I think that's for a number of reasons. But one, because it is a demanding, emotionally demanding job, right? Because you're going to get yelled at. There's going to be my own employee was talking to me today in our one-on-one about how he listened to a person for an hour who's dying of cancer, and that can destroy a person, right? And so you really need to find those right people that are willing and able to do those type of things. So in our hiring, we're definitely listening for those keywords, listening for those examples that are echoing our company culture. And if they do have those attributes, we're definitely looking for positions to put them into.
Hmm. Good stuff. All right, let's talk through some more about culture. Now, one of the challenges I think that every business owner faces is when you recognize the need for culture and you um, document what your culture is, there's that transition that has to happen of going from here's the words, right? Here's our mutual agreement. We're hiring for culture, right? We're trying to um, pull people to this standard in at least our initial screening and in our ongoing culture, but how do we actually help people embrace that culture? How do we create a company where values are not just the things that we say or the things that we recall, but actually what we do and who we are?
Yeah, so it's hard, definitely hard, because serve first, serve well. Telling a person you need to serve better doesn't really help them to serve better, right? Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
it's like one of those things where um, you can't say, we're going to be good about technology, right? Like you have to, it's a subtle transformation that has to occur. So some of the things that we've done is we've actually defined what is and is not good service. So we have something that we're augmenting right now called the Ironclad experience. It's like what the experience that we want people to have coming away from it. And a lot of it's things like we're going to provide 5-star worthy service, right? Well, how do you measure 5-star worthy service? You measure them with the number of 5-star reviews you get, right? And so from that perspective, you could say, and how do you now go about providing 5-star worthy service? So a week ago, or a little over a week ago, we did an empathy training, right? So we did a training on empathy, and we did a role modeling, being empathetic, having a tough situation, and trying to do that because some people are naturally not as empathetic. So some of it's through role playing. So some of it's defining what is and is not a good experience. It's having people realize that their job in this work that we're doing is to touch people and to try to provide a great quality of service and to not be transactional, but to be relational, to be on the phone for that person for an hour when they need you, right? Because that's what they need right now. And we're really trying to be humans, and we're trying to meet people where they're needed, right? And so it's very hard, but when you find the right people, it's very successful. Win together, lose together. If I ever hear people blaming, like I stop immediately and I say, look, like you also, what could you have done differently to help make that situation better, right? Because we're all in this together, right? Always improving. What we do is we read books as a team every quarter, and we talk about those books, right? So we read the book How to Never Lose a Customer. We read Five Dysfunctions of a Team as a company. We read this one. We're reading Measure What Matters. Next one, we're reading What the Heck is EOS, right? So we're reading as a team these things. I offer for all my team, if they want to take courses through Coursera or otherwise, that I will pay for them to do courses so they can improve who they are. We do one-on-ones. Technologically focused. We're definitely embracing technology. We're using Notion. We're always looking to see what's the best technology. So there's a lot of little things that we do, but it's all predicated on like how do we grow this company so that we can do it, so we can do great things. And what I found, Ben, that's very difficult is the culture of many people internationally and or the work that they've done dehumanizes them. And so many call centers are like, hey, your contract's up. You're now let go. Good luck, right? And it's like people are more than a contract. People are more than, the number of calls they make per hour, right? And so a lot of what I feel like I have to do to grow this culture is to break a lot of these habits, or a lot of these maybe these issues that have happened with them historically, because they're so guarded to protect themselves from being hurt. And so, like, I'm very loyal, and so I definitely, like, I've had a lot of heart to hearts with my remote staff, trying to help them go through crazy issues that they're going through, and try to meet them where they are. And so it's really about, for me, the foundation of our service culture is really about serving others first, meaning I need to serve my team, and then or my managers, my direct reports, and then my direct reports need to serve their direct reports, and then they need to serve their clients, their owners, the vendors, the residents, and each other. And so a lot of times for me, with what I'm doing, I'm trying to remove all of these hurdles from them being able to give fully of themselves in the work that they're really needing to do. So I went around in a circle there. Hopefully I answered the question about how we ultimately try to incorporate this into our day to day.
Yeah, I think that was fantastic. I would love to hear maybe a little bit more tactically, um kind of an answer to the same question, but more about like some specific ways that you have built into your systems, into your people systems, maybe, right? More than your technology systems. Obviously, technology is going to have a role, but um, talk us through some of the specifics, maybe the EOS style things that you do, or related systems that you use to help manage team culture and make sure you're having that engagement with your direct reports, and then in turn they with theirs.
Sure. So some of it's through KPIs. So we do KPI, like the number of 5-star reviews we've asked for, and we use a process to track that. We also KPI things like the number of 5-star reviews that we've received. And some of like the Ironclad experience is about humanizing and having touch points. So we know all process that you can add. Okay, I'm going to text and I'm going to email, and it's going to be really automated. I'm going to use templates. I've done that in Lead Simple, but some of it's about like adding a call, right? Instead of it just being about this, why don't we add a call too? Right. And even if it's just leaving a voice message and saying, hey, I sent you an email, this and that, I'm here to have a conversation with you if you have any questions about what I just sent over. Right. So I think that you can utilize the systems and technologies still to provide that culture, provide what it is that you're trying to do. For so long, when I first started my journey with Lead Simple, it was all about efficiency. It was never
Mm.
about human connection. It was, okay, how do I do this as efficiently and smoothly and error-free as I can? But now I'm trying to rethink about how we utilize technology to have more of that human connection. So I don't know if that answers your question, Ben.
Yeah, it
Eventually I want
does.
to go back to AI too, and how this all goes
Yeah.
together as well,
Well,
because, but go
I've
ahead.
got a follow-up question on that. So you talked about kind of the way that you done things originally and how you're trying to do them now. Would you say that is a required order that one must go through the process of discovering the efficiencies before you can quote unquote humanize the systems? Or is that something that you think could have been done together at the same time?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really naturally good at culture. And so for me, I think it's more of an evolution of me as a leader, that,
Mm.
I've always been good at process, and I've always been good at efficiency. And it was like, I was more of the mindset, as long as I get it done, that's all that really matters. But that's all what anyone wants, right? More often, because of my own, changes, my own growth, I realized that it's really about making connection. And that's really what life is about. And so I've really kind of come a little bit full circle from an efficiency minded perspective to now being more of the other side. And I think that's where, talking quickly about the intersection of AI and people, for me, really lands, is you should use process and systems to make yourself more efficient so that you have time to make the human connection, right? And so culture is really about that. It's like so much of what we've talked about, for a long time in our industry is about how do we as a company uh, become better, right? And we first it was unit count, and then we became revenue per unit. What it really eventually is going to be about is twofold. One is how well you can grow and how well you can retain the people that you're serving. And so when you look at your churn, it's directly related to how people feel about your company. Right. And so whereas I was like, I'm just going to do a really good job and they're going to like me. Now I realize it's so much about how they perceive me to be more than how I really do. And having that human touch just helps it. So for me, I think that to your point, I think it makes a lot of sense to be efficient first, probably, and then to add places where the human connection can just pay significant dividends. And so that's kind of what we're doing now. We're revamping and relooking at these so that we can do that more. And that's really where I'm leaning into is we're making these things more efficient for you to do the work that's needed so that you can do the real work, which is connecting.
Yeah, the phases of building technology and systems into your business is something that's really fascinating to me, particularly in relation to the different styles of business that there are, right? If you look at um, service businesses like the spaces that we're in property management, um, there's a reality that it will never be quite as big as a Walmart, right? But it shouldn't be. We're not selling a product that you can go and pick up off the shelf. This is about a highly trusted relational advisor, but it's an apples and oranges scenario because at a Walmart, right, you can go in and you can have a highly impersonal experience and be 100% successful and happy with your experience. In fact, interacting with a person may downgrade your experience at a Walmart, but in property management, there's so much more investment, right? And whether it's cash investment or emotional investment, the investment is greater, and so the risk is greater, and so the need for human connection and for emotional connection is that much greater. So anyway, yeah, love the thoughts there, Sam. Okay, let me flip back to my questions here. I've been off on some tangents. Um, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about building relationships and sharing your culture with your clients. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so we have done some things where we've explained what it is that we do. But it's not really for me about like saying this is what our culture is, but kind of showing them what our culture is. So, with respect to our clients, our expectation is you're going to respond within, 24 hours. I have a KPI for both my resident experience specialist and my client success manager that they're going to cycle through every single client within 3 months, right? And 6 months for the resident experience specialist. And so we KPI the number of, you know, interactions that they have with each individual person and track it in spreadsheets. Um, and so a lot of it's just like so much of what we do, there's always this fear that, when you're getting a call from a tenant or when a client success manager is calling a client that they're about to give bad news, right? And so that's the natural and so I want to have my client not really know whether or not this is good or bad news that I'm calling about, right? So it's about and so a lot of it just goes from, the golden rule, do unto others as you wish they would do unto you. And so a lot of the thinking behind it is to communicate with them just because. I do also try to provide a monthly um, emails to tell them about what the company's doing, how we're succeeding, um, wins. I've done some things where I've thought about like a 5-star win of the month and a 1-star win of the month, right? Because for me, every 1-star win is a bad interaction that they would have had with a similar person, right? A person is unhappy with us for some reason, and we kind of insulated them from that interaction that we had to have. So there's a lot of things like that I think about with respect to the client interactions. But we're trying to serve them first and serve them well, right? Win together and lose together is really about our internal team. Always improving, like, hey, how do we improve our company so that we can serve the clients better? Like reading How to Never Lose a Customer Again, and then interacting with those things, and then leveraging new technology to kind of make their experience better. Those are all the things that we think about as we interact with our tenants on an ongoing basis. It's very top of mind as we look to see what are the major initiatives that we want to do each and every period.
Love it. Sam, I'd love if you could tell us a little bit about some of the tools and technology that you use that assist you in maintaining the culture that you defined. I'm sure there's more than a few here. I know Lead Simple is a key one, but tell me more about some of the other ones that are incorporated here as well.
Yeah, so one of the things that I do is so we do one-on-ones, right? That helps with the team building and trying to make them feel connected. We also do level 10 meetings and we do it through Notion. One of the things we talk about every single week is core value wins of the week, right? And so we ask every single person in each of those meetings to provide a core value win of the week. And that way they're kind of embodying it and thinking
Mm.
about it regularly. Um, I didn't do it this past time, but the previous times I asked the question to each and every one of my team is what is our core values? And, it was interesting because I think it's obvious what it is because we had talked about it like every single week meeting every week for like a year. But, they don't process it as much as you think they are. Jack Welch has a famous saying that says, if it doesn't feel like you're barfing on your company cultures when you say it, then you're probably not saying it enough. Right. And that's completely true. So you're really trying to use every single interaction that you have and experience you have with someone to reinforce those company cultures because it's not platitudes. Like we said, it has to be really, truly what it is that you're trying to build as a company. And it's really, really hard.
Yeah, I recall when I went through the process of developing the company culture we have at Black Sheep, the question that I asked myself was, what are the things that are important to me? And then I just started writing down a list. And I kept writing until I ran out of things to write down. And then it was really just a matter of taking that list and combining things that were similar, and then getting to, a key, all right, here's the top 10 things that are really important to me, and then consolidating all of that into our value statements. And I think there really is a process, right? It's not something that you have to go through completely blind. Um, but it certainly is an exercise that everyone should go through, and worth doing. Well, let's see. So we talked a little bit about Notion. Let's see, and yeah, actually, to riff on that for a moment, are there any technologies that you would mention, not to disparage them, but rather just to say any technologies that you have brought on with the hope of improving culture that really haven't done what you had expected them to do, or have been impactful in a negative way?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
Most everything that we've done, like the biggest thing that we've done for culture is, um, reading books together, is building out Notion so that we can track certain things, is doing one-on-ones and things like that, just to meet our team where they are, and make them feel connected, right? That's
Yeah.
really what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get people to feel connected. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that there's any technology. I don't know of, I mean, so we do use some tools, not really tools, but like we do games and activities because we are remote. How do you make people feel connected? So on Fridays we would do this or that. I don't even remember what the games are called, but it's like games where you guess a flag or whatever else, and you kind of have an ability to kind of talk with each other about, just kind of these little shots at each other that you would do and just kind of build a camaraderie. So no, I don't really think like I
Yeah.
would say we don't really use any technologies that are traditionally just to build culture. So
Fair.
no, I mean, usually everything has a different reason, and we try to augment it to have a focus on culture.
Yeah, I asked the question because I think what you stated there at the end there is a really key idea where sometimes we adopt technologies in the hope that they will create culture, um, and don't actually do the work of creating the culture ourselves around the people systems, right? Because there's technology systems and there's people systems, and you need both in order to run a business well. But the culture is truly derivative of the people systems, not the technology systems. I think there are some scenarios where technology can be very assistive, but I don't think anyone should ever consider it as a full replacement. for some type of cultural value that they hope to promote.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, at least for me, is the concept of like meeting people where they are and trying to like be more for them, right? So like I just think about all of the staff that I had, and I would say things like, we're different. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone says they're different, right? And like, no, we really are. Like, I really care. Like, I really get fully vested in your success. A lot of what we're trying to do is we're trying to build an entrepreneurial philosophy where, and what I've said was, if you ever decide to leave and start a company, that's going to be both a sad and proud day for me. Sad because, you've been great and I'm going to miss you, not because I'm sad for myself, and proud because that's really what I want out of people. I want them to become the best they can be. And for me, always improving, like if they end up making a decision to start a business, like to me, that's a sign that I've had success in building into them over the period that I had them. And so, for me, it's all about the people in our business. And if and I always think it's ironic when people like continue to try to like utilize people and just think of them as a cog in a machine
Mm.
and not the actual asset that people are. And it makes me sad because all because you're born in Mexico or Nicaragua or the Philippines or India doesn't make you lesser than me. It doesn't make me lesser than anyone else. It just makes you in a different culture and a different thing. And so I want to bring people along with me and help them realize their full potential and realize all the success that they ever wanted in life, like I'm trying to do for myself. So, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that we often talk about for our project managers in particular, but really for the entire team, is that the value that we bring to our clients is not just tied to the service that we provide them, but rather to the unique perspective that we have as individuals on solving their problems. And I think that's true for property managers as well. Um, when anyone hires a service provider for whatever need you may have, you're doing so because you're unable to accomplish the outcome that you are wanting. And you're putting your trust in someone else who is perceived as the expert to do that thing. Um, and most of us have the ability to do that thing, but there's so much more that you can offer those clients in terms of value. And Maddie already mentioned it, but just a book recommendation that I throw out to anyone here who listens to this recording is The Go Giver. Such a highly impactful book. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, Sam, but
I
um,
haven't read it, but I think I've heard of that one.
you would I think you would enjoy it. I'm not sure on your taste in books, but it is a business parable. So it is a a lot of business principles in story format. One of my all-time probably top five business books that I've ever read. And the idea that really stuck out to me most in that particular book is the idea of giving more in value than you take in payment, and always looking for ways to give more to your clients, whether that is um, giving more in service, or there's some of these companies that you buy from online and they'll throw stickers or candy or something small or something random. I actually bought some stickers from a sticker company recently, and they sent me a bottle of hot sauce. And it was like the most random thing. It was like, how cool is that? It's the Seth Godin's free prize inside, right? So there's so many ways that you can bless your clients and bless your people. And I just think looking for ways to go above and beyond is a wonderful way to build company culture. That's for sure. Well, to wrap things up here, Sam, I'd like to ask you a final question here. If you're speaking to property management leaders and business owners, what would be one actionable step you would suggest that they take today to help improve their company culture?
I think that I think when you're doing it, what I said before is be true to yourself, right? And don't try to do it based on platitudes. Start small and do things incrementally. Figure out what it is with your leadership team, what you think you want to do with your company, and then figure out if the people that are in the seats on the bus if they support those cultural activities or philosophies. You know, you talk about someone like Elon Musk, love him or hate him, he knew that the culture of TikTok was not TikTok, Twitter was not what it needed to be for what he was trying to accomplish. And he got rid of a lot of people. And so, you know, too often we're not willing to do the hard thing to fire the person that is not the right culture fit. And so if you've got a well-established culture, we'll continue to nurture it and hire people, fire people based on the culture. But if you're starting something brand new or trying to make changes, sometimes you have to rip the Band-Aid off and make those hard decisions. But, you know, always think about what it is that you want to accomplish and focus on those things each and every day incrementally. And you'll eventually really get that flywheel going and see the progress that you expect to make. It's a hard process. It takes a long time, but it's well worth it on the other side.
And it truly is never too late. I think that's another idea, just to riff on that for a moment. I think we get in that space of, the fallacy of sunk cost, right? Where we've gone too far. We already have the team, right? We already have a culture. We've already got what we've got. Well, how do you change it? Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's really gonna suck, but it is very much worth it. So, well, Sam, really appreciate you hopping on with us today. This has been a ton of fun. Love to have future conversations about this as well. I think any business owner, regardless of whether you're in property management or not, would really benefit from listening to this recording. But Chris, I will hand the microphone back to you to take us out, sir. Sam, thanks for being here.
Thank you
Thanks
again,
for having
Sam.
me.
That was really good. I especially love your SWAT acronym. That's really cool. All right, guys. Well, we would love to hear your takeaways. So please comment on this recording. Let us know what you really enjoyed about this interview. There's a lot of great advice, a lot of great book recommendations. I'll try to link to as many of those as I can. Sam was just throwing them out left and right. It was hard to keep up. I was like, this isn't going to happen. But thank you again, Sam. This is going to be the last Tuesday call for the year, but we have another great automation call on Friday with Mike. All right, guys, have a great day, and we will see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks for being here. Bye, Sam.